Brett Rogers versus Alistair Overeem. Strikeforce card. Rafael Fedor versus Antoine Britt. Actually started off as a really good fight, man, and they were stacked against each other pretty well, you know what I mean? Looked to be a pretty good fight, and they came in, and it was pretty even until Rafael Fedor just caught him with a nasty shot. You know, he landed a couple more, and it was done. You know what I mean? So it went on, and another guy I respect a lot, you know, because he's really, really hung around and kind of had a string of bad fights, which is Kevin Randleman. Kevin Randleman, I think back in the day, you know, with the Hammer House and everything, Mark Kerr, Mark Coleman, they all used to train together and whatnot. Man, they were badass. Like, these little small guys had a really hard time keeping up with them. Even the jiu-jitsu guys, you know, so you get your ass pounded trying to submit these guys and, you know, whatnot. It was only a matter of time till they started falling to submissions because they didn't improve their game plan, you know what I mean? They didn't really improve their game and keep learning and stuff, kept it the same way. We started falling into some hard times. So one thing I will say is the guy still got a lot of fire under his ass and I would say still doing pretty well. You know, it's like one of the newest Gracies, you know, Hodger Gracie. 2-0 coming in. You know, obviously 2-0 coming into that fight. His mixed martial arts record, you know what I mean? So he's taken on a veteran, you know what I mean? Kevin Randleman did really, really good, man, against the same family that took down his style. It said, you know, I don't care how big you are, basically. You know, you're going down. And here we are, what, 10, 15 years later? He looked great for 38 years old. As soon as Randleman got taken down, he really defended really, really well. Really well. Hodger, it's like, Hodger was Hoist-esque. Very Hoist-esque. He looked really, really good. He looked like a young Hoist. He really did. He looked really good. And every mistake Kevin was making, which he wasn't making very many, he was capitalizing. I mean, Hodger was jumping on the shit. It was very surprising. But anyway, Kevin is on the ground. The guy's got awesome defense, man, for being a 38-year-old. Awesome defense. Finally succumbs to a rear naked choke. Hodger finally sunk it in. Catches him, gets him, wins the match. One thing I found was really, really Penzo Gracie and Holler Gracie are both coming off losses. Well, they're both lost in the UFC. You know, this is a Strikeforce card. So I found that interesting. And they also mentioned that Hoist Gracie tested positive for steroids, but his last loss was in UFC against Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes completely schooled his ass. Obviously, Hoist testing positive for steroids. Hoist has never had to be of size or speed or whatnot. You know, he knew how to stand his ground, get a hold of you, take you down, and implement his game. You know, but I think I think obviously he's older, so I gotta wonder if the age had a part in him trying steroids to try to, you know, revive his career. Maybe I really don't know, but it has nothing to do with this fight card. So I'm gonna move on from that point. Okay, next fight up, Villasenor. Joey Villasenor versus Jacare. I think the only thing that really hurt him was some of the takedowns, man. Other than the takedowns, he fought square, man. He fought really good. I would say him and Jacare were pretty evenly matched. You know, I've watched the card twice so far. You know what I mean? While I'm kind of doing other things around here. As you guys can tell, you know, in case you guys haven't tell, this is a different atmosphere here. I've moved. You know, I don't live in the same location I used to, do blogs and stuff like that, so it's a little bit different now. A lot more comfortable. You know, but things were a little bit easier where I was before, so I'm not settled in here now. So, but I was a lot more settled in where I was doing blogs before. But anyway, Jacare basically had I would say a little bit of the wrestler upper hand, a little bit of the ground game upper hand. Villasenor, awesome, man. Awesome ground defense, you know, and takedown defense. He was really good, man. Really good. It was one of them fights where it's like Jacare won, pulled out a decision, but seeing Joey Villasenor coming back and doing really, really well, it wouldn't surprise me one bit, because the guy looked really good. They both looked really, really good. This fight was actually a really close fight, too. Arlovsky versus Bigfoot. I've kind of written off Arlovsky a little bit. It's like, you know, come on, man. Got knocked out like 2 times in a row, you know. Arlovsky basically survived the whole fight. You know what I mean? He had some decent offense too. He looked. I would say he looked pretty good. You know what I mean? Nothing to write home about. You know, he was on the defense the most of the fight. Still doing really well. I mean, Bigfoot Silva pretty much, I would say, at every exchange, Silva had a good shot at knocking him the frig out. You know what I'm saying? Knocking him the F out. Not to sound rude or anything like that. I think Andrei Arlovsky's pretty much, you know, getting close to the end here. For the main event, people, you got Brett Rogers versus Alistair Overeem. I'm telling you, man, these guys. Brett Rogers coming in and saying, you know, Alistair better be bringing it and better, you know, bring his A game and all this crap, you know, and Alistair Overeem don't have any reason to cringe or be afraid of Brett Rogers. I mean, Brett Rogers has like a third of Alistair's experience. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. The one thing I really kind of questioned, and I was a little bummed about Alistair Overeem, it seemed to me like he was almost ducking Fedor. It seemed like he was staying overseas quite a bit, you know what I mean? And it still could be that. I don't know if it was just a made-up excuse or what, but Fedor Emelianenko versus Alistair Overeem. Trying to do that for the last few cards. Didn't happen. Finally, we got a Overeem card, and it's like, well, where the hell's Fedor? You know, I mean, Emelianenko is going to be fighting Verdum. It's like, I don't know if that's got something to do with it. You know, I don't know if, Overeem came over and said, you know, I want to fight on this card, or I accept the challenge on this card, or it's like, you know, dude, wait, Fedor is already fighting somebody else, so they just grabbed a quick opponent, and you know, I have no idea really, man, but you know, it seemed like this guy was dodging Fedor for a long time. If that's the case, he beats Brett Rogers' ass quickly, a lot quicker than Fedor did. So, I mean, really, what is Verdum going to do to Fedor, or whatever the hell his name is? Supposedly, you know, he's been dodging Fedor for years or whatever, and he's been overseas and he's been on steroids. You know, everybody's got all this shit that they're talking about. This guy and that guy, and this guy's on steroids. This guy can't cycle off roids enough to get over to take on Fedor, and Fedor's ducking him. That's what he said to let him fight with Brett Rogers. He said, well, you know, Fedor, you know, we could have put that fight on a long time ago, but Fedor's management, M1 Global, denied the fight. And it's like, well, if they denied the fight, because I'll tell you what, from the performance that he put on, Fedor shouldn't be, he shouldn't feel easy with it. He really shouldn't. You know, but, I mean, he's 31-1. You know, obviously he shouldn't feel easy about it, but he should, you know, and I'm not sitting there trying to pick apart Fedor and say that he's a fucking loser or whatever, or you know, he can't be. It's exactly the opposite of that. I think the guy's fucking awesome. He's amazing. But it's like, you know what? I want to see him actually fight somebody that is not an up-and-comer. I want to see him fight somebody at the top. No more up-and-comers. You know, that's what I want to see. You know, and everybody, oh, you know, well, he doesn't have to do that. Well, of course he doesn't have to do that. If he's got a couple more losses on that record, is it really going to kill his career or kill his legacy? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Because a lot of people are on his side about this, you know, he doesn't have to do this, he doesn't have to do UFC, you know, and that's cool, man. I don't care if he's going to jump in the UFC or not. I really don't care about that. UFC's got their own thing going on. Strikeforce, M1 Global, they got their own thing going on. But it's like, you know what? If Strikeforce is going to have something going on with Fedor Emelianenko and Alistair Overeem, get the fucking two motherfuckers fighting already. Seriously, man. Get the fuckers fighting already. And if you can't get them fighting, then don't. Then I don't want to hear no fucking. I don't want to. Because tonight, the night of the fight, Alistair Overeem called out Fedor. They said, "What's your next fight? What's your next opponent? You know, you just knocked out Brett Rogers, Fedor Emelianenko." Everybody's saying the guy's a roids maniac. You know, there is a possibility that somebody can like change their diet and work out actively and pump up an extra 30 pounds. It's not that hard to do if you're an athletic person. So every time somebody gains a lot of weight, I'm tired of hearing people talk about, "Oh my gosh, dude, he's on roids." Unless Strikeforce sucks that bad, where state athletic commissions are not running tests and catching people on roids or whatever, unless Strikeforce is that bad, where we're going to see those kind of matches, then you know what? They may as well be completely discounted altogether.